Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Mike.
Welcome to Devalued, the podcast where we talk about art and money and where those two things meet. And on today's episode, we're speaking with Namir Blade and Gee Slab. And it's a fascinating conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Alrighty. Oh, that was very NPR of me right there.
Alrighty. So we're here today with here and now.
With the future and the present.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just start by introducing yourselves? So,
I'm Gee Slab, East Nashville.
I'm Namir Blade, East Nashville.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so basically we start every episode by asking the same question, which is, do you think art and money go together?
No, it's a product when money is involved. It's not art anymore. For my personal opinion.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you bring money in the art, it puts a small damper on the integrity of the art. But on the other end of it, it can I feel like abundance of money puts a damper on the art, but lack of money inspires a lot of good art.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these artists like Van Gogh, when you look at people like Van Gogh, even Basquiat, all of them did their best works when they were experiencing a lack of money. And when people get an overabundance of money in art, you can tell.
You can sully.
Yeah.
You can tell the sometimes it's hurtful because you get scared for yourself. And it's a natural progression for a lot of people. And then they have to find themselves again. That's what I've noticed when people get an abundance of money in art. Start off broke. It's very pure. It's passionate. It has everything you're looking for. And then as the status grows, sometimes it lacks that substance that you want. And then miraculously, for the greater artists, maybe not everybody, but for the greater artists, they tap back into that foundation of themselves. And so I think, like I said, it's good because we're in a construct of money. We're in a capitalistic world. You gotta have money to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the catch-22 of art and money. Because if we would just be on an island with cloths tied around our body, and we were just painting in the mirror, just singing songs, and I was just rapping lyrics, wouldn't nobody care. We could just make it free and just express ourselves with every emotion that we feel at that time and stuff like that. But lack of money and the social construct of money is like the catch-22. Some of the best artists came when you broke though. So I mean, it's beautiful. But also, people do want to feed their kids and their families and their mamas and do stuff for themselves and go travel and have aspirations beyond where their circumstances are too. So, catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's interesting too, because a lot of people say that the best art is created out of depression. You don't create great art when you're happy. Yeah. But you just said that, a lot of great art is created when you're broke, you're in poverty, rather than if people become too successful, they might have thought that they reached the goal of their art, which is to make them successful, and so their art suffers because they have everything.
Yeah,
because the connection of the common place they were at kind of loses themselves. That's why in rap it's so different, because even the dudes who have all the money still go back to their environments and they're reminded where they come from a lot. So the purity of that part sometimes stays a little longer. But then people tell you, stop rapping about that type of stuff because you got money now. Quit doing that because now you're faking. Now you're lying to the people because you're talking about subjects and things that we know you don't do. But I'm still connecting with where I'm from and how I was raised and things like that. So those people can always have a voice, because there's always that person needing a voice on those days and stuff like that. I think that's what that dynamic of music is when you get to a certain level.
It may even be their responsibility, in my opinion, to once they reach a certain platform and have a certain audience, to continue to tell those stories when people are listening that maybe weren't listening before.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I feel like especially as rappers, we tell our stories, And that gets us to the point that we have worldwide recognition in some cases. And then it's just like, once you've reached that, go back and tell the stories of your friends, your peers, people like still in the environments that you came from. Even if you have people that's locked up, because that's freeing to them. It's like you speaking on and rapping about your friends who might be incarcerated and telling their stories, which is a story that they might not have the opportunity to tell themselves from like your perspective and their perspective, because you know how the media goes and how like our judicial system is like that frees them, that liberates them, so that they can hear it whenever they're locked down and be like, this is about me, this is freeing me. It's like I'm right there with them, I'm living with them. So that's definitely important.
So as up and comers though, I mean, how do you value the worth of your art?
Worth and value and value is two different things for a reason. And I think what you value about yourself, your self-worth, I mean, you can't measure that. Like how you feel about you, how she feels about herself, how he feels about him, how I feel about me. Can't anyone measure that, because you don't walk my shoes, you don't understand how I process life, anything like that. But the value to other people and what you're worth to other people is through consistency and work and stuff like that, and just maybe the natural talent level of somebody. Like everybody's journey is different. That's why there's no one blueprint to how to do things. So it's like if some people who saw, just throw a name, Soulja Boy, who popped kind of quote unquote fast, came out, became a star success, versus someone like a Nipsey Hussle who had to grind for a whole bunch of years and years and years and finally get to a plateau of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those stories are validated. In this, and both of them have value. They're self-worth for each other. We can't say why one person did this and one person did that, and somebody might say, oh, well, you popped early, so, but you don't know what he did every day making those beats before somebody heard him, and making those records before somebody heard him. Oh, Nips, you only popped till you got older or somebody, but you don't understand those day-to-days. I was on mixtape doing this over and over again. So each worth is the same to me, and the value of that person is the same, but to the public, we measure value versus worth in different ways versus certain people and circumstances, and this is important more and this is important more. So I can't measure myself to other people, but I can see where you value me in this way. And so I have to play off that. That's all marketing and leverage, and that goes with stuff like that as well, like trying to get yourself into a position to get somewhere. You have to know where your power is in that and how you're perceived. I have to be very honest with myself and see how Gee Slab is perceived from other people, not how I feel about myself. If you don't separate that, that's why a lot of people be mad about life, because they don't separate those two things. How I feel about me, I'll never expect you to feel about how I feel about me. There's no possible way I can feel how about you feel about yourself. But I think that's where we're at with a lot of, and especially nowadays. We see it's more transparent with that nowadays. It's not as much of personas and shades you can hide behind as much as nowadays. So it's like the talent's there. Who are you? And the people will kind of judge for you.
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm driving at here is how do you measure it personally? Like, you know, is it when you've got something right, like when you make a song or something like that, and it feels right, mm-hmm. Is that how you measure success, or is it like if this song gets 10,000 plays?
Oh, it's always about feeling right. It's all about, is the record good? Is the record good to you? And then I tell people, when it comes to music, because you're gonna say, because we're selling music, so no matter what you're making it for other people, you let it go once you put it out to the world. It's not yours anymore. It's on their opinions at that point. So it has to feel good to you first before I care about if I got 10,000, 20,000 streams. That's great. I heard a thing a long time ago. Dude said, man, I'm playing to be in the NBA. If I get the shoe deal, that's cool. But I'm not paying for the shoe deal. I'm paying to be amongst the best in the world. Not even because the money of the NBA. To play against the best among the world. That's the competition for your own self-worth, what you're trying to do. Same thing in music. I don't make music because I'm trying to be just rich and famous. That's nice. I like to buy my house one day. I like to, do things for my daughter and stuff like that. Like, that's great that that's where we're trying to go to, and things of are aligning to go in that direction for me right now. And I think he probably speaks for himself in that same sense. Things are aligned in that direction. But really, I just make it because I want to make some of the best music and be in that sense of for the competition aspect of it, for the legend, whatever those things is for my own. So I just want somebody to say, oh man, I want somebody to say Bob Marley and Gee Slab in somewhere in the same form. I want somebody to say Snoop Dogg and Gee Slab in the same form, some way or fashion. Even if it's just 36, but now my name's in some of the greats, no matter how the finances on me. How I deal with the money and how I get to the bag and stuff, that's on me. But the music is on the status where we're trying to go for ourselves. And I think that's where I'm at for me personally.
You want to speak to that?
Slab my dude, yo. I like that Slab on here because he say a lot of the shit that like I've had sentiments with a lot as far as like with your self-worth being something that's, or your worth as an artist or anything for that matter being an invaluable thing. It's something that measures differently for different people. As far as me, like, yeah, like I want to make good music. That's the reason why I became a musician. I'd be lying if I told you like I didn't want enough money to buy a suit of armor, a jetpack, and a leopard.
No,
and like to go crazy. And
I still want the white tiger.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson got. I still want the white tiger.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I want that, but at the core of all of this shit is just like, I don't want to put out a song that I don't feel like I gave my all, I put my whole heart into, because more than anything, I do music for my mental health. It helps me channel and work through trauma from past relationships, from being outside, so on and so forth. And it gives me the opportunity to speak to people who've dealt with the same things. And it's given me the opportunity to express new ideas of existing in this reality we call life, so that I can bring something to the table. Because I feel like when you're an artist, and Sunrise said this best, is like when you're an artist, you're a servant to the universe. Facts. Music is the language of the universe. Facts. As well as mathematics. Mathematics and music go hand in hand. So it's just like when everything is said and done and you leave this plane, the songs in your heart is what you get judged off of, because each musician, we put our souls into this shit. Facts. That's why they say like, you're selling your soul. It's just like, yeah, I put my soul, my heart into this song, and I'm like, shipping it out to the world. You can have a piece
of my soul.
Yeah.
You can have a piece of me. Because because now my energy is spread across the universe.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Doing it that way. Like, everybody in their works of life are doing it because they want to leave some type of something. We're going to all go one day. So we're all doing it. From you doing this podcast, maybe these voice recorders will get saved somehow. And they can understand what we were going through in these times a little bit. The songs we make can speak to what was going on from if it was from the hollowest to the deepest part of the human existence. Doesn't matter as long as they're there. When you hear about old stories about the old bakery shop back in the day, like it's a reason why those foundations mean something, because that's all we have after we're gone. I have nothing else but the stories of my uncles and my mom, because the story they told me. I have nothing but that once they're gone. Everything else, or before I even came to this plane, when I wasn't even born, that's all I have left. So that's where I think music does. It puts, like I said, that in mathematics, just puts us in a ancestral forever plane to be a part of the universe.
And I think that's a really beautiful thing, and I love that you both are so committed to the quality of your work, and it's very apparent in your recordings. I guess one thing that we come to a lot is this idea that if creatives like you who have a message and something that they really need to get out there to the world, something that they want to leave behind, but they're unable to support themselves financially in doing that, so they have to spend less time doing that and spend more time working a job. How do we make sure that that our stories as a generation get told without money? That's kind of the big part of this conversation that we can talk about the beautiful parts of it, and we have to. I mean, that's the whole reason any of us are involved in this industry at all. But there are a lot of us really struggling financially
realistic
at
part
this
of it,
point.
like we still got to get money. Like, I mean, that's my biggest thing. And I tell people, like, it's the sacrifice. I mean, there's no way around the sacrifice of it. If you in this, I don't think there's a formula because it's not a mentality for people to come into communal fund, find a building. Let's just all work out this place, and we'll just don't worry about it. We'll get to the money when we get to it. And I mean, we're building something like this. A lot of people that build stuff like that. We're building some shout to the tribe, but it's hard to find that mentality where people are gonna sacrifice their funds for the stake of the art all the way. Like, people got kids, people got bills. If you're in college, if you got a job, you have to do these things. Because I say ain't nothing cool about being a broke aspiring rapper. Ain't nothing cool about being a broke aspiring rapper. It's not. It's like you have to be able to pay for the engineer. You have to be able to pay for the studio sessions. You have the producers that show you love at minimum know how to get a back end contracts to where if you don't charge you up front, you know that you're gonna show love. You have to. It's a build and to help out things. A lot of people reason a lot of things are so transactional nowadays. From what I've seen, a lot of people know how to relationship build. People don't know how to. Hey, how you doing? My name's Gee Slab. How you doing? My name's Gee Slab. What do you do? People don't have conversations. People are very socially awkward more nowadays because I believe of social media. You don't have to go outside as much to quote unquote connect with people. But we're not really connecting for real. It's more beneficial. Can you do something that can help me out? Maybe I can do some help you out. And really sometimes maybe I can't. You can just help me out. And then we can sit and then we can build on that. And then hopefully you don't call me out on that. And if I do pop, then maybe I'll get you right. Then I'll help you out for real once, because I'm broke too. Just like you're broke, I'm broke, and I'm trying to finesse. So I don't get. It's very transactional because there's nothing benefiting being about the art purely. It's just nothing that's. And nowadays, I tell you all the time, you gonna have to eat sooner or later. So it sounds like you said. It sounds cute. It sounds great that we can talk about how music shapes us and stuff like that, but still need to get paid for the show. I need to still get paid for this. If Namir makes a beat, I still need to get paid for this beat. I do consulting and artists help. And I still need to get paid for that referral. I need to. I still need that, because then you're not respecting my plight, and because I'm respecting yours. We're all trying to kind of come up and climb the ladder without stepping on each other and stuff like that. And I think that's the hard part about it, that people get this business is cutthroat, and they told us that a lot of this is the standard. And I think that's what's the wrong part. All we're hearing is this is the standard. Well, we need to change the standard. Exactly. The standard is bad.
Exactly.
Right.
The
standard is bad. That's why you see these older CEOs now circumventing and trying to make amends for how they used to be. Because they kind of realize, especially in hip hop, you see people like Diddy, you see people like these trying to do these circumvent and try to quote unquote make amends, because they realize, I was really fucking y'all over. I was really like screwing y'all over, and I shouldn't have. But that's all I knew. And that's how I was taught the business. So it's like, do you blame people or do you blame the system? Even though the system's made by people, but the people that we're talking about are hundreds, they gone. And we just been following tradition of a system that we really don't have to follow, but no one knows any other alternative that's lucrative. And that's the part about I think that's got people stuck, is that there's no lucrative alternative where I can't do it this way, or I have to do it this way. That sounds cool and everything. There's people that will stand down and say, "No, what, I'm never going." And we're trying to climb up. We're trying to figure out ways. You know what I mean? The ones with the quote unquote morals and the people with dignity and stuff like that, and that sense of it, it takes a little longer, because we don't do it the other way. We try to, you know what I mean? Because we know how to feel. Maybe we done the other way too. You know what I mean? So I try. I think that's where a lot of the conundrum with everything is too. Well,
we mentioned a little earlier community, the idea of helping each other out and pulling for each other. You two knew each other before. I mean, I'm very curious. I mean, the Nashville hip hop scene is obviously getting a lot of attention lately. NPR, Rolling Stone, Daisha McBride has been doing amazing things.
She's killing.
Everywhere.
She's killing. Shout out to her.
Amazing.
Her album come out to this. Her it's crazy.
And just shining such a great light on what's going on here. And I'm just curious what you feel about the community. If you feel like people are just, if they're banding together to make a new standard for how artists and industry people should exist together.
Mm-hmm. I definitely believe that us as a community, we have, because a lot of us came up, and there's multiple generations of like rappers in the community doing things here. It's like you have some people who were popping in like the mid to late like 2000s doing stuff, and then you have the middle generation of people doing stuff, and then you have the new people coming out. So I feel like I fall into the middle generation because I was going out performing and doing like all types of stuff like talent shows, team parties, so on and so forth when I was I don't know what age I was, but it was 2007, 2006. And I've seen
about 14.
Yeah. Probably about
14.
Yeah, probably about 14. So I've seen what the generation above me went through, and the generation of established people in the generation I was in, I seen what they went through, and I was just like, I'm gonna make it easier for the people under me so they don't have to go through what that what you had to go through. Or like what I had to go through doing this. And I feel like people like Slab.
Namir went through that, so you ain't have to go through that.
You know what I mean? Talk to him. I feel like since we want to see a big change in the industry, like we've been just moving forward and like reaching out and helping as many people as we can so we can change the trajectory of things. Yeah. So like, the community is way better than it used to be. And we're working tirelessly every day and every night to make sure that it continues to grow. And after we rise above just being local legends and we start getting more out into the world outside of Nashville, the people under us will be able to take our places easily.
Yeah, like have it. You know what I mean? I think like, and for him, like he said, he was out like I did my first probably talent show in 06, but I didn't probably start taking music seriously to like 2009, 10, where I started doing shows and stuff like that. Shout out my boy Fly Learn, shout out to Boocher, shout out to Ace. And then 2000, because I was signed for a second to an independent label, and then that's another thing, you get to experience that. Like, even though we got shelled and it was bad, it was hated then, whatever like that, it was the best learning experience I could ever had. Because I know how it feel like to be in the studio with producers, working on an album, working on having a quote unquote budget and stuff like that, and getting that lesson early in my career. And then when Man for Rap came out 2014, 15, I think that era, because we were already doing some shows at the end. Cup Philly performed at Exit End or opened up for certain people and stuff like that. Basement East was a regular for a lot of people, and it broke open this that we can actually do stuff. Because that was even a bigger struggle. Even being able to go to certain venues as rap artists and being able to like they wasn't letting us go nowhere. You seeing people on Broadway now. You seeing people. Some of my boy Chuck Indigo just did Broadway. Him and Savage just did Broadway. I think you done at me before. I think like it's. I performed on Church Street. Like just to even have those streets in Nashville of not predominantly black or rap music, that's even a struggle. So to even get in that level nowadays is a thing. So like you said, once you go outward, that's when the notice of, and my boy DJ Christ said a long time ago, you can't put on for your city if you're always in your city.
Church.
So you have to go experience other networks and other places and bring that knowledge and bring that quote unquote budget information back to the crib so that you can show somebody how to make the doorway a little easy and they can crack it open a little more, and maybe the next person can just shove it all the way through. Mm-hmm. And what they do will just blow the whole thing out the water. So I think that's where, and you got to be happy, like when he said about the struggles, you got to be okay with this. You got to be okay with knowing that you might not be the biggest platinum selling artist, but you might be opening the door for the next dude or the next girl. And even if you do open them, they'll come back and reach down and holler at you and pull you up as well because of the game and knowledge you gave and the love that you showed. That's how you sustain.
How do you prevent becoming bitter at the industry when that happens?
My name's Gee Slab. I can't speak for nobody else. I can't speak for nobody else. Because everybody saying certain things like how I think about life and how I process life and how I process losses and stuff like it's different the next man, the next woman.
Sure.
I think that's the thing about everybody. And that's the human experience. Like we're all individuals. But the best, I guess, way I can do is just keep working, bro. Like I know it sounds cliche, and when you get to a certain level, you realize why it sounds cliche. Because that's the only really advice you can really give anybody. Keep working. It's gonna be hard. Gonna be some dark days. You're gonna hate this at some point. You're gonna be mad. You're gonna wanna quit. Like these. My boy, what Petty said to me a long time ago. If you ain't worth giving, if you ain't never thought about giving up, you probably ain't really lived it. Like it was something in that sense of like, if you ain't never thought about giving up, these are dreams that only 2% of the world. I know it sounds like still look like we got a lot of musicians in the world and a lot of people that's successful and stuff. It's almost 8 billion people in the world. It's a very small selection of people that get to a certain level they can just survive off music and survive being in the industry and stuff like that. Very small percentage. And I think a lot of people need to see that and hear that first. It's gonna be hard. You might not make it. See, that's what no one wants to say that because it hurts feelings when you say that and discourages people. But if you don't care about what I'm saying when I say you might not make it, this for you.
But I feel like it's so good to hear that because what you were saying earlier at the beginning of this conversation, like if the art is the most important thing, if that's the thing that's sacred, that's what you're working on when no one sees,
don't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because that might be discovered 3,000 years from now, and someone might like it.
You know what I'm saying? My fan might come year 3,000. I might not be here to see it. And I gotta be okay with that.
Yeah,
I got and it's some Lil Wayne said a long time. I saw an interview, and he was like, he got on. He was like, he was always in the studio. Carter 3 sold 1 million records. He went to the studio the next day. He said he saw a lot of people get money like that, and they stopped going to the studio. Kind of to your point earlier, he was like, what happens? Why the music gets to that circle? They thought they was done. Like they've achieved their goal because their goal was to be successful, not to make art and keep making the best music over and over again and trying to perfect that and stuff like that. And that's why the greatest are the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Van Gogh earlier, and he never sold a painting in his lifetime.
Nope.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like being in the music industry, and like I've learned this from being in the industry for as long as I have, and I've also learned this from like being able to have access and being like a few degrees of separation from top acts and like speaking to them and meeting with them, that like, yeah, this industry is extremely cutthroat, but at the same time, if you truly love the music and if you truly want to help people and attach yourself to the why, and it's different for everybody, like you can brave the storm. And I've definitely been in positions, because when I was really, really young, I used to have really, really bad anger issues. And I had to figure out how to work through that. And for me personally, I'll say that doing martial arts and studying the philosophies behind martial arts helped me stop being such an angry person, because I felt when I was young, I used to wear thick glasses because I was blind. I felt like I had everything to prove to the world because everybody was trying to treat me like I was a geek. And my mentality was just like, I'm gonna show you what a geek look like. And when I got older, some people reached out to me and I was like, hey bro, like I see you out here, but man, you too talented. There was like, you need to learn to like get a hold of your anger, get a hold of your trauma, get a hold of your issues, or you'll never be able to succeed at anything you want to do in life. And through that, and through just learning about myself, learning like, why am I so angry? Why do I feel like I have to prove so much of myself to the rest of the world? Addressing, assessing, and kind of like updating like my knowledge base and like my brain has helped me. Like whenever I see somebody succeeding more than me, though I put in more work, it's just like, you know what? My battle isn't their battle. There's no, like, I don't know them. There's no telling what they went through to get to where they are right now. And I can't compare myself to them because I'm built different.
No, fact.
And they built different.
That's transparency though. That's transparency though. You realize them like that. What you eat don't make me shit. Like literally, like it don't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Your journey is your journey. If we cross paths, that's great. And we can help bit. That's great. But if I don't get to you and you, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I ain't supposed. That's not what meant for me. I think that's one thing we gotta, like, people gotta realize. What's meant for you is meant for you.
Exactly.
I think that's the hardest job about people accepting life and where they're at, and not saying that you can't go out of that and you can't break out that box. Accept where you at. Try to make a plan. Like actually have some real plan behind the action or the dream or the thing like that, and then then you can really get to where you want a little fast. Because like we can't just be dreaming with nothing behind it. Like y'all want to talk about this subject. Y'all just said y'all want to talk about it. Y'all had to do some other stuff before we get 4 mics in the space and stuff like that. It takes a little work, you know what I'm saying? Plus you all have your own passions as well. So it's like you have your own separate passions outside of this podcast. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to find, I think that's what's going on nowadays too. We have so many ways we can just outlet nowadays. I think that's what makes it a little different and easier from when I first started making music versus now. You still had CDs. Like you still had CDs.
Sharpie.
Getting signed to a label was a thing still. Like you wanted to get signed. You wanted to get signed to the label because that's the only way you could really become quote unquote famous or get rich and get your real budget out. We heard about being independent artists was this and being that. It's only a few people that was independent artists and really could do their thing, or the Too Shorts or the Currencies or the stuff like that. You was like, bro, this. And now because streaming, stuff like even things like Patreon, even things like those Twitch and those Triller and all these type things where people can just kind of find you in different ways and forms of fashion, TikTok and all that type stuff, then like it's really up to you and how much you want to really put into that quote unquote grind. It's great to still get that help, but if you can't, then it's way easier in that fashion to put it out and get it out to the people at least.
That's an interesting thing. And this gets into a little like abstract territory, but it's like building a brand as an artist. And is that important, or is that like a sellout move to be a brand?
Now people need to identify who you are. You can't be average Joe out here to me. For me personally, you can't just be the mix of everybody else.
Yeah,
like building a brand don't mean you not being authentic. I guess that's where I think people misinterpret what building a brand is. The brand of Beano Gee Slab, Beano Believing New Opportunity, the brand of Gee Slab is still my core person. It's just expanding to the things that I thought I could never do at first. And that's, to me, that's all building a brand is. Like Colin's Recordings is a brand. Like you have to have a brand. It's an idea that still a passion in your heart. You're paying laundry, that's still a brand. No matter what it is, because you still want to sell the records. You still want to get it out to the people. You still want somebody to know what you do in your talent base and stuff like that. So even the people say they ain't got brands, they got brands. Even if people say I'm being authentic, I'm not. You got a brand. Your brand is authenticity. That's your brand.
Come on now.
You still got a brand. You try to say you don't have. You don't jump around and do TikTok dance and stuff. That's cool. That's not what you do. But you still got a brand, even if it's anti-establishment.
Yeah,
it's still a brand. That's a whole brand.
Because a brand is nothing more than an idea, and I feel like a lot of people get it mixed up. And I was telling Berto and my roommate and co-collaborator Tank about this. I was telling Tank about this. I was like, a lot of reason why everything's so messed up out here and society just seems goofy and it feels goofy and it feels like we're in like some Grand Theft Auto simulated, like The Sims. It feels like The Sims. I feel like the generation that is in charge of like putting everything together, like the media, all of this, is like they're more concerned with creating something to emulate the idea of something else instead of doing that idea. Is like a lot of stuff out here is trying so hard to be the idea of what it's trying to be, if that makes sense. And I feel like it's the same way with a brand. It's just like people think brand and they're just like, oh, I have to try to, like, I'm gonna try to embody the idea of a brand. And it's like, you can't embody the idea of a brand. It's Ouroboros. it disappears. Snake eats its tail. It's just like, be you and figure out how to commodify being you, and that is your brand. Like for me, for instance, it's just like, I'm a martial artist. I rap, I sing, I play instruments. I love video games, movies, anime. It's like all of that, I could use each of those aspects, and it's all under the brand Namir Blade, because that's like, it's all things that have fostered my growth and has fostered my mind. And I know I'm not alone in that. So I could make my merch be inspired by like an old Japanese horror movie I seen when I was a kid, and study the nuances. And it's just like, bam, sell that to people here, eat it up. And in no way that's not me being inauthentic to myself, because it's just like, no, like anybody who knew me when I was
watching
younger,
that Japanese, you might be watching that Japanese movie tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
You might
really?
be watching like really. Like when I put wrestling stuff in my stuff, no, I really watched wrestling my whole life. I've never stopped watching wrestling. I didn't stop at the Attitude Era with like Stone Cold, and like I went through the dark days too. Like this is part of my niche. I really collect comics. I really am into comics. So if I say a superhero, I got something inspired, like my new merch, I got the little Flash, a little lightning bolt thing on there, like. Oh, I'm literally, before I left here, I was literally watching the thing on comics, like before I left, I'm watching Easter eggs before I leave the house. Like, so I think that's where people, and if I'm gonna sell it out to you, I got merch in the car too if y'all need something. But, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, nah, and I don't feel like, oh man, look here, man, I gotta eat too. I don't care about none of that. My daughter got an appetite, homie. She got a birthday every year. It's holiday season. I'm gonna get some money. Like, I don't care about none of that. I think that's what. But see, a lot of people are concerned with a false sense of being real. Mm-hmm. Real is your perspective. Mm-hmm. Like that's what you believe that is. Like that's not nothing you can feel in your heart when something ain't right. Like I ain't got to tell nobody when. If I see Namir trying to do something, hey, bro, hey, man,
I'll let you real quick.
I ain't never seen that at the crib. Like, so what is this? What is this going on? Like, right. So I think that's where things you can feel in your soul. If this say y'all podcast, say y'all can feel in y'all soul when it's not. I ain't gotta tell you. Ain't gotta tell nobody. Some people don't listen to their voice, but they know. That's what I think the thing is. People be, like. I don't know how to explain it, but everybody got that little voice in their head.
Monologue.
I talk to myself every day, and it's a great conversation.
Some people don't, bro.
I heard that. I've heard that.
And you want to know, like, my theory on those people? They NPCs.
They not real.
Yeah, they don't.
Those are clones.
Yeah. The clones, they literally exist to, like,
you ain't got a subconscious.
Give you dummy missions, and, like, you transact with those people.
Nah, if you ain't got a subconscious, something wrong with you. I don't feel like something wrong. Like, yeah. And what I'm saying, even if you don't talk to yourself, that little moment you have when that little nervous or whatever like that, when you, that piece of clothing ain't for me right there. That really ain't. That you know when that's not for you. You just fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's never right. It's just never right. Those shoes don't rock with that. You know you want to put on. Boy, if I see you boys one piece of spike on y'all shoe again, I'm gonna get so mad.
Do you feel like capitalism has put in another little voice in our minds to try to, like a little Ronald Reagan that just sits on your shoulder and tells you,
or Joe Rogan, whichever you like. You know what I mean? Whichever one you like. You know what I mean?
Some white guy.
It's always a white guy. Rubbing his hands together. Capitalism is definitely a white guy. Like
he looks like Emperor Palpatine,
or he looks like Mark Zuckerberg. One of the two.
It depends on which generation.
It depends on which generation. Yeah, this generation, or Elon Musk, or whatever, whichever big company you think of. See, back in the day we talked about the, back in the day it was the, back when you were in school, the five families, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and all that types. Man, we ain't work. Elon must have been Back to the Future. I don't know. That's the little voice sitting right here telling you, but you gotta get a bag though. And that's the little voice that messes with a lot of artists, especially in rap. Mm-hmm. You gotta get the bag. Mm-hmm. Like they gonna look at you different if you ain't got the money though. Mm-hmm. And I think that this will get you the bag. This will make you go viral. Mm-hmm. This will spike the likes up. This if you do this little thing like here. And a lot of people nowadays are listening to that voice a little more because
Drake.
They broke. I get it. And I guess I don't get mad as much because I get it.
Yeah.
I know how it feels to be desperate and broke. and do things you wouldn't normally do when you super down and you don't know how to climb out that hole. So it's like, I ain't want to rob nobody when I was broke, but that's what I did once in a while.
But I'm hungry.
But I'm hungry.
Give me what you... And you have an abundance.
Dead like, serious.
You have insurance on everything in your house. You have car insurance. You'll be up by tomorrow.
You'll be cool.
I will be up by tomorrow.
Make the call. You'll be up. Or you got a business. So y'all got insured money with the Bank of America. So I don't care about cap. I don't care. So I know it's like the person. It's like things people say, man, everybody still from Walmart. Yeah. Like everybody in the store took a little something out of Walmart. You know why? Yeah. Because you found out they was insured and you didn't care no more. You know what I mean? In our neighborhood.
Y'all get 30 million eggs a day.
Come on, look.
So what if I walk out with these grapes?
They don't care. You know what? The employees stole something too. Like they don't care. Because that's the thing about information nowadays. When we talk about capitalism, we didn't talk about this type of stuff when I was in high school. Even in college, like it wasn't talked about as much as it is. There were certain groups of people that discuss those things. But nowadays, because information, social media, it's 24 hours news cycle. Like you just get information. I think that's the scary. So much information overload and think like, calm down. I think that's what we have with a lot of stuff that we get so much info. So you hearing that you gotta have this. You gotta have this. You're not worthy if you're not this. You're not worthy if you got this. You're not winning if you ain't got this. You ain't up if you ain't got the new whoop the whoop blah blah blah. And it messes with you when you hear it 40 times in an hour. Yeah. Not even a day. When you hear 40 times in an hour, then you get back and you hear 50 more times.
That can't be good for our mental health.
I must, and then you convince yourself, I must gotta have this because this FOMO is big too. Big, that's what that is too. FOMO, like that's just fear of missing out. You just think you gotta have what the world deems success, deems the cool thing, deem what you're supposed to do, what's right, look, man. If we based off thing what's right and what's wrong with other people, slavery still be legal. So it's like, I think that's the biggest thing, not caring about those type of opinions in those situations too.
It sounds like you guys have kind of done a really great job in separating your art from the money aspect of all of this. Would you give young artists that advice to mentally separate those two things and just, you talked about doing the work, and it's one thing to do the work to make good art and to be true to yourself, but there's also the work that puts food on your table. Yeah. And it sounds like you've gotten creative in ways that you're making money, but also sharpening your toolkit for your own career.
And piggybacking on that, just real quick, that's something that it's the latter part of that, the building the brand, marketing. That's something that creative people really struggle with, especially at the beginning. They're terrible at that. And so, like, when did you guys?
I just want to make the music. I don't want to do it.
Right.
I just want to.
And I still subscribe to. I just want to make the music. I go crazy when people tell me to do like things that isn't making me. They're like, "Yo, promote." I'm not a promoter. It's just like I'm not a promoter. There's people and I feel like, and I had this debate with this editor-in-chief of this magazine and blog or whatever on Twitter, and he was just like, he said something to the effect that like, I've seen only like X amount of artists like post about their music on Twitter and all of this, and I told him, I was like, fam, we are tired. I was like, we are tired. We came up being artists, being DJs, producers, promoters, like especially for people like me, it's just like, I DJ my own sets for the most part. Yeah. I've learned to play all of these instruments I've had to produce all my own music because there wasn't anybody around here doing what I needed to do. And what I truly wanted out of the art that I had to give to people. And then on top of that, learning the lyrics, writing, singing hooks, training myself vocally and musically and coming up with ideas for visuals. And it's by the time you do all of that, you're tired. And then people want to add promote yourself. Always promote yourself on social media. Reach out to these venues and see if you can get shows. Do this, do that. Whereas back in the day, it used to be you had people for all of that. And I understand some people are just I'd rather keep all the bread And
Right.
and that's why you see such a like so many lackluster artists that are popping now, because they have undeniable grinds. Undeniable grinds.
They
Like,
stay up outside longer than you will. They'll be outside in the street talking to people, touching the people. They're good. They're people. That's one of the like they're not socially but they don't do nothing else.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because like you could be successful at the business side, and every artist these days is like a small business to a certain extent, and you could be terrible as
No one's
an
robbing
artist,
anybody outside.
you know?
No one's getting robbed outside.
But that's a weird thing because it's like one thing is the exact opposite of the other. Like being an artist doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good business person, but
That's the brand thing with my life versus the brand versus
Yeah.
the art type thing. I mean, I think just like he said, he was talking about everything he had to learn to do. He's gonna get all the other bread. He don't care about the promote, like paying the person to promote the stuff or paying the manager they 10% to go and 15% to get the little looks into the shows. But I do everything else. Like, why do I have to do? Because and that's what hurts a lot of things is we don't have arts development anymore. Everything is so keen on the artists that we've made, and we still get the smallest percentage. I don't think no one wants to say that. We still get I hear complaints about artists all the time. Artists that we still get the smallest percentage out of everybody. The producer get more percentage than the artist. If you get signed to a label, the label will get more percentage than you. The manager gonna get a percentage of something. You got to cut that into your personal percentage. That don't got nothing to do with them. That's your percentage. That 100% out of your 20. Like that's what you have to give them, and they getting 10% of your 20 of 100. So it's you have to do. And so I get when the brands or when people be like they want to do it all. I get that too, but bro, like people are called A&Rs for a reason. People are called DJs for a reason. People are called producers for a reason. Let people do their job, but we're a lot of selfishness too. It's a lot of selfishness too in a lot of music. That's why I think that's even it was based off I didn't have opportunity to get grinds, and then it turned into I just rather do it, and then everything else suffers. You're not good at that. It's okay. Like, you're not good at that, B. Like, people tell like, cause I'm a writer. I tell you all the time, I'm a writer before anything. I can write anything. I can get a writing session. I can write you a hook, chorus, bridge, whole thing. I can write a whole record for a white girl out of Montana if I need to. It doesn't matter for me.
Hannah.
Name Hannah.
Name Hannah.
Name Hannah. You know what I mean? For real. So I didn't work on country. I don't care about but once I do all that, I don't want to have to go email every record label too for the go pitch the song. That is time consuming and tiring. I am tired. I do want to still go watch my cartoons later on, but I still want to go live a life. And I think we're so big on the work of artists nowadays, bro. Like your mental health your life and worth can't be based in music though. Like your worth of a person can't be based in this, and that's where all the mental health stuff comes around nowadays too. Like you so of this that you have nothing else outside of this to be an outlet.
So on that note, and we only have time for like one more question, but
Run it.
are you hopeful about this the future of art?
I'm super optimistic. This is some of the best time music of me. It's some of the best artists, records I've heard in years. The nostalgia of what we were raised on was always gonna be there. But this is, man, I'm happy for a lot of stuff in Nashville, specifically, Tennessee, the music in the South. Like, it's a lot of great talent out here, man. Like, and it's different outlets to get your message across. You don't have to just do it the traditional way. And if you look at that as a good thing instead of a bad thing, opportunity, we got to get to job. I get to make music. I get to come here and talk about artists and stuff like that. I don't gotta do this. It's not working on the train. It's not working. I ain't gotta do these things. It ain't working in the warehouse. You know what I mean? Like, I get to do this and get paid sometimes to do it. So when I get paid on the regular to do it, I'm really gonna be excited. So I'm super optimistic, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm super excited about the future and what's going on.
Namir, what do you think?
Art is dead. We flipping real estate now.
Man, look here, B. what I mean? Holler at me what you want.
But I'm pretty optimistic too. And I'm never really an optimistic person. I used to be pessimistic, and then I'm essentially a nihilist. But a nihilist, not in the point that it's just like nothing matters, so everything sucks. But it's just like nothing matters, so we have the unique opportunity to assign what matters
to ourselves.
And rank that based on that. So for me personally, I'm excited. I haven't had a job and it'll be a year next month. And I've been I've been clamoring to like make enough bread to make rent and bills every month. And I could say I've had the most fun being in this predicament because I've had so much time to myself and so much time to go out and work with so many like studio sessions that I would have missed if I was working a job. I have the opportunity to be in those, give my input, work with amazing people, and to help like foster growth in them on like the local level to like the high tier local level to like even like a national level, like working with artists like Joel Ortiz, Stolly, Quell Christopher, Fly Anik, and people like that. And it's just been really dope. And I feel like a lot more of us from this generation of rap locally, nationally, and internationally, we're fed up with the way that the music industry has been and how parasitic it's been to artists. And we're working tooth and nail to make sure we see a change and that like we can really like reform what's wrong with the industry so that everybody can be able to eat and everybody can be able to make a living out of this. It's like even if you don't become a superstar, at least you can pay your bills.
That's really the same. Can you eat and still make great art?
Yeah.
Like, can you eat like and we're talking about the standard. I know y'all already go. And it's like
no, that's a great title for the episode.
And it's like we're trying like I want rappers to get insurance. I want rappers to get therapy. I want rappers to like have a 401k.
Yeah.
Like this is a union. We need to start a union. There's ways to get to, like every other industry has at the NFL, the NBA, even if you go to the CFL, even if you go to overseas basketball, they have all these things in place. And we're the only industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, that don't have any of those safeguards for our artists. And that's what we need more than anything. That's why the older artists be bitter. You know about bitterness and stuff like that. You see the older acts get mad because there's so much money in music nowadays that they didn't have access to. If they were a staple, they need to have some money because they went through that, so we ain't got to go. They made it easier for us.
Yep.
You know
and
what
even
I mean?
aside from your profession, I think anyone deserves those things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, in general, like across the board in general for the humans and stuff like that. That's why people are hating their countries, no matter where they're at, because they're seeing the flaw in it. Everything.
We need a roof over our head, at least enough to get us something to eat, and like just the basic necessities. And everything else, hey, you're on your own, but at least you have like this starting ground, and everybody has the same starting ground. So it's like.
Everything there's no you can foundation. You have a foundation to start off of. If you have something you got a foundation to start off of. You can kind of make everything else kind of trickle the way you want to. Then it's up to you. Mm-hmm. Then that's really your hard work. Then it's truly up to you. Your ambition, your hard work, your dedication, all that type of stuff. So,
well, thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate y'all.
Oh yeah, thank you.
This is lovely.
Thanks for listening to Devalued. For more information about our podcast, please visit devalued.show.